What kind of rich cut his own grass? Why you out there cutting your own grass? You're trying to save money? You don't want to pay for the lawn to get cut, huh?
Let me ask you.
The AC broken in the...
Let me ask you this.
People are saying Rick Ross wanted 50 Cent gone. And the scary part? This wouldn't even be the first time someone tried. Because Curtis Jackson doesn't just rap about survival. He's already lived through it. More than once. And every time his name pops back up in a violent headline, the culture pretends this beef is just jokes and Instagram posts. It's not. This is old blood, new tension, and unfinished business between two of the most ruthless figures hip-hop ever produced. And what just happened? That didn't feel like a stunt. That felt like a reminder. So let's be clear, this isn't Twitter fingers. This isn't a diss track that fades in a week. This is a rivalry that's been boiling for nearly 20 years with real consequences, real threats, and real bodies attached to the history. Rick Ross and 50 Cent aren't just rappers, they're opposing forces. Two men who built empires while publicly trying to embarrass, expose, and destroy each other at every turn. Lawsuits, threats, public humiliation, psychological warfare dressed up as entertainment. Ross built Maybach music like a fortress, always watching his back. 50, he turned trolling into a weapon, a brand, a pressure tactic. But before the memes, before Instagram, before the empty Ja Rule concerts and viral humiliation campaigns, Curtis Jackson was fighting for his life, literally. And to understand why people still take any threat involving 50 Cent seriously, you have to go back to the night he should have died.
If you make a diss track, he makes a diss track. Bro, you know millions of people are gonna buy that diss track.
Maybe not no more because he's no longer valuable in the music arena.
Yeah.
Maybe before 50 Cent had some huge records when he had the biggest producers and artists around him putting them together. That's why right now he can't make nothing. He can't, not to save his life. Rose probably couldn't save him.
You can save
MMG
him,
probably
you
couldn't
can save him.
May 24th, 2000. Just before 8 p.m., South Jamaica, Queens. 50 Cent is sitting in a parked Jeep outside his grandmother's house on 134th Avenue near Guy R. Brewer Boulevard. He's on the phone. Regular evening. Nothing dramatic. Then someone walks up. This wasn't a warning. This wasn't intimidation. This was an execution attempt. The gunman fired point blank through the window. When it stopped, Curtis Jackson had been hit 9 times. Bullets tore through both legs, shattered bone, ripped through his hand, arm, hip, chest. One round grazed his face, damaging his cheek and jaw, leaving scars that never went away and temporarily robbing him of clear speech. 9 bullets, at close range, in a parked car. Most people don't survive one. Somehow he did. Bleeding out in that vehicle, he was rushed to Jamaica Hospital in critical condition. Doctors went straight into emergency surgery, pulling fragments, repairing shattered bones, stopping internal bleeding, keeping a man alive who statistically shouldn't have made it. He stayed hospitalized for nearly 2 weeks. Multiple surgeries, constant risk, a full-on fight to stay breathing. That was the moment Curtis Jackson stopped being just another rapper. And it's the reason every new incident, every new rumor, every new escalation hits different. Because history already proved one thing. When it comes to 50 Cent, the line between rap beef and real violence has already been crossed. Orthopedic surgeons had to rebuild what the bullets destroyed. Trauma specialists kept 50 Cent alive during those first critical hours, but surviving 9 shots was only the beginning. The recovery was brutal. His legs were so badly damaged that he had to relearn how to walk. Crutches turned into a walker. The walker turned into a limp, one that followed him for years as fame finally caught up. The bullet that grazed his face didn't just scar him physically, it affected his speech, forcing months of focused articulation work just to sound normal again. Every day became physical therapy, pain management, strength rebuilding, living with bullet fragments still inside his body. Survival wasn't abstract, it was routine. Meanwhile, investigators were circling familiar enemies. Attention pointed toward his existing conflicts with Ja Rule and Murder Inc., combined with the fallout from a mixtape track called Ghetto Quran. That song named real street figures and alleged criminal activity, lines that didn't land as lyrics, but as provocation. Years later, during federal testimony in 2005, Kenneth McGriff, leader of the Supreme Team, was linked to the shooting. Still, no one was ever convicted for pulling the trigger. But while 50 was fighting to walk again, the music industry delivered its own blow. Columbia Records cut him loose. While he was still recovering, still healing, still learning how to speak and move properly, the label dropped him, citing violence and bad publicity. His debut album Power of the Dollar, scheduled for release in July 2000, was shelved and quietly buried. Overnight, the industry treated him like a liability, like contamination.
Maybe not no more because he's no longer valuable in the music arena. Real dude, 50 Cent had some huge records when he had the biggest producers and artists around him putting them together. That's why right now he can't make nothing. He can't, not to save his life. Rose probably couldn't save him.
Most artists disappear right there. He didn't. From his house, still injured, he started recording relentlessly. Mixtapes, street records, pure aggression. No radio polish, just hunger. That underground momentum reached one person who mattered: Eminem. That connection led to a deal with Shady/Aftermath in 2002. 1 year later, Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped, selling over 872,000 copies in its first week and detonating the industry that had written him off. The shooting didn't just scar him, it rewired him. In a 2025 interview, he explained that surviving an assassination attempt permanently changed how he thought, shifting from street-level survival to long-term domination. That mindset built the Power franchise. It made the vitamin water deal, a payout north of $100 million. It turned Curtis Jackson into a mogul. And that's why his conflict with Rick Ross hits different. This isn't two rappers trading insults online. This is a man who survived 9 bullets facing someone whose entire image is built around being untouchable. So when footage of their confrontation went viral, the culture froze. Because history says this isn't harmless. To understand how it reached that point, you have to go back to the moment it all started. The rivalry officially ignited in 2008 at the BET Hip Hop Awards, when 50 accused Rick Ross of staring at him the wrong way. Yes, a look, a glance. That's all it took to start one of hip-hop's pettiest and longest wars. That moment, 2 men locking eyes, wasn't nothing. It was ego meeting ego. And once that switch flipped, there was no going back. Because 50 Cent did what he's always done best. He went digging, deep, and what he found became a weapon. 50 exposed that Rick Ross had once worked as a correctional officer. In street culture, that translated instantly. Not just embarrassment, but accusations of fraud. Worse, whispers of being aligned with law enforcement. In a genre where credibility is currency, this hit hard. Ross had built his entire image around being a drug kingpin, the boss above bosses, someone who supposedly lived that life. Then 50 dropped documentation showing Ross wasn't running operations, he was locking people up. That revelation detonated what became known as the Officer Ricky campaign, and 50 didn't let it breathe. He suffocated Ross with it. Memes, videos, mockery, interviews, relentless repetition. Late 2008 into early 2009, the narrative never left the public eye. This wasn't exposure, it was a sustained demolition of a persona. Then came the stunts. In early 2009, 50 allegedly orchestrated a public confrontation involving a woman resembling Ross's then-girlfriend at a Miami area appearance. Footage from the incident shows Ross shoving the impersonator and appearing visibly enraged before security stepped in. To this day, that clip keeps resurfacing, often framed as Ross trying to get at 50, when in reality, it shows him reacting to another carefully planned trolling operation.
But you haven't destroyed Rick Ross's career.
What was Rick Ross' last album? Triple C's. You know how many copies the record sold?
No.
4,000 copies. What is destroyed? Fat Joe's
But that's a
last
group album. That's not a Rick Ross
Fat Joe's
album.
last album sold 8,300 copies. This is what happens.
That's
the
another one,
damage-
you punching below your weight.
No. This is me fighting the fighters that are challenging me. Because you went to the gym the first few days and the coach called you champ, don't mean you ready to fight Floyd Mayweather. Do you understand? So if they come prematurely, I'll finish them now before they can even get good enough.
But that was just one piece. In March 2009, 50 escalated again, releasing private footage involving Ross's former partner, Latonia Leviston, overdubbed with his own commentary for ridicule. That crossed a line. Leviston sued and won. The case resulted in a multi-million-dollar judgment, later settled. It was proof that 50 was willing to absorb serious legal and financial consequences if it meant damaging his opponent. And even that wasn't the bottom. Just weeks earlier, in February 2009, 50 released a disturbing video where he drove past the mother's workplace and home of DJ Khaled, rapping threatening lines. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't metaphorical, it was personal. That moment defined the rules of engagement. Families weren't off limits. No perimeter existed. Anyone connected to an enemy could become collateral in 50's campaigns. By then, this was no longer rap beef. It was psychological warfare, sustained, targeted, and intentionally humiliating. And this is the foundation that explains why, years later, when Rick Ross and 50 Cent cross paths again, people don't laugh. They watch. To be clear, Rick Ross didn't just sit there and take it. He fired back. In 2009, Ross dropped Mafia Music, directly targeting 50 Cent. He questioned 50's business decisions, mocked his declining record sales, and dragged personal relationships into the crossfire, including references to his child's mother. Musically, it was real rap beef. Diss records, subliminals, direct shots, enough moments that fans still argue about them more than a decade later. But this rivalry never stayed confined to music. In 2018, Ross was hospitalized after being found unresponsive at his home. While most of the industry expressed concern, 50 immediately jumped on Instagram, posting mocking captions and memes, suggesting the incident was drug-related or exaggerated. That response made one thing obvious. This wasn't rap rivalry anymore. When one man is fighting for his life and the other is farming engagement off it, you've crossed into a different category of hostility. The trolling never stopped. Into the 2020s, 50 continued ridiculing Ross, mocking his weight loss journey in 2022 and repeatedly contrasting their business empires. 50 highlighted his television dominance and the infamous vitamin water deal. Ross countered by pointing to his Maybach Music Group roster and his rapidly expanding Wingstop franchise ownership. Success versus success. Legacy versus legacy. By August 2025, Ross escalated again, launching verbal attacks alongside Benzino, criticizing 50's early record contracts and throwing personal and family-related insults into the mix. Ross even claimed 50 went unusually quiet after Drake's perceived loss to Kendrick Lamar in 2024, suggesting 50 had misread the culture and lost his edge. 50's response wasn't lyrical, it was nuclear. He publicly threatened to buy Rick Ross's masters. In the music industry, that's not trash talk, that's domination. Owning someone's masters means controlling their catalog, their revenue, their legacy, everything they ever created. That threat landed differently. And then there's the footage. The same grainy 2009 video keeps resurfacing, showing Ross in an aggressive confrontation at what multiple sources describe as a Miami radio station appearance. Ross approaches what appears to be a 50 Cent impersonator, grabs him, forces him against a wall, and appears to threaten violence before security intervenes. The clip first went viral on platforms like WorldStar and YouTube back in 2009. It resurfaced again in 2014, then exploded once more in 2023, when TikTok users rebranded it with dramatic edits, music, and captions like Ross snaps on 50's clone. Old footage, new algorithms, same unresolved tension. And every time it resurfaces, the same question comes back with it. Was this ever just entertainment, or was it always something darker waiting underneath? And that brings us to the bigger picture, because while the beef between 50 Cent and Rick Ross is legendary, it's only one chapter in much larger war histories. Both men have spent their entire careers colliding with others. For 50 Cent, conflict isn't a side effect, it's a system. His most infamous war remains the one with Ja Rule and Murder Inc., a feud rooted in the late 1990s that directly overlaps with the shooting that nearly killed him. Jewelry theft allegations, industry blackballing, diss records like Wanksta, Back Down, and Piggy Bank, followed by a long-term humiliation campaign that effectively erased Ja Rule's commercial dominance. Even decades later, 50 still mocks developments connected to Irv Gotti, showing that some wars never truly end. Then came The Game, Expelled from G Unit in 2005, diss tracks flew, 300 bars and running became legendary. The tension spilled into real life with a shooting outside Hot 97 that left one of 50's associates wounded. He also went at Fat Joe, Nas, Cameron, Jim Jones, Young Buck, and even inserted himself back into Dipset drama as recently as 2026, simply because chaos keeps him relevant. More recently, 50 has relentlessly trolled Diddy amid ongoing legal trouble, again proving that controversy is fuel, not risk, in his playbook. Rick Ross's resume is different, but no less crowded. He clashed with Jeezy in the early 2000s before that conflict was resolved through mediation and collaboration, showing Ross can close chapters when it benefits him. His most explosive modern conflict has been with Drake. Once collaborators, their relationship deteriorated over years, peaking in 2024 when Ross dropped Champagne Moments, igniting viral meme culture and forcing Drake responses like push-ups. Even after public claims of wanting peace in 2025, the shade never fully stopped. Ross also revived his long-running dispute with Freeway Rick Ross and openly aligned himself with Kendrick Lamar during the Drake War, a move that led to real-world altercations at live shows. So the pattern becomes obvious. 50 Cent turns conflict into content. Rick Ross turns conflict into endurance. One thrives on humiliation and control. The other survives by projecting untouchable status. And that's why their rivalry refuses to die. 50's trolling never destroyed Ross the way it did Ja Rule. Ross's boss persona never bored 50 into walking away. No clear winner, no final round, just two men who refused to blink. If you made it this far, drop a comment and tell us whose side you think actually won this war, 50 or Ross. Like the video if you want more deep dives into hip-hop's darkest rivalries. Subscribe for the next breakdown, because this story still isn't over.